this challenging time. Continuing our tradition of sharing with you how we foresee markets going forward, we are bringing monthly market outlook. Avinash, let's go to global economy. This is a very interesting chart. The blue line shows developed market debt, which is going up like crazy. The red line shows emerging market debt, which is much lower compared to developed market debt. But because in developed market, interest rates are very low, despite having 3 times more debt than emerging market, their interest burden is almost similar to emerging market. This allows developed market to print money, to support their economy, to run large fiscal deficit, and all these things results into asset price inflation. Because in developed markets, people are getting money from the government spending, from the central bank balance sheet, their confidence level is near all-time high. Next slide, please. This money printing by government, by central banks has ensured that demand remains very, very high. And which is why if we see in America, S&P 500, their operating profit margin are at all-time high level. One unique thing among this rally, this phase of economic boom, is that big is becoming bigger. If you see top 50 companies' profit margin, they have consistently grown over the years. It has multiplied 3 times in just last about 30 years. This is being witnessed across the world, with big companies becoming bigger as they are financially well positioned. As companies' profit margins are at all-time high level, as big companies are becoming more profitable, the global market cap to GDP ratio is now 131%. This is one of the highest we have seen in recent times. Because market cap is higher, issuance also has shot up as retail and institutional investors are subscribing to IPOs like anything. There was a theater company called AMC. Due to COVID, all the theaters were shut. But on Reddit, a common platform, investors came together to support AMC share price. And soon AMC became one of the best performing stocks. As people are consuming more, courtesy the money given by government and central bank, the commodities are in short supply. Supply has not picked up, demand is higher. Net, we are feeling shortage of commodity as reflected in backwardation. When commodities are in short supply, invariably inflation goes up. And in US, CPI inflation, consumer price inflation, is moving up. Coming to Indian economy, the headline was as follows in May 21, highest ever FDI of $82 billion, largely driven by Reliance Jio. Food production at 300 million ton plus, exports running up quickly in a world which was recovering, and railway for 8 consecutive months is carrying highest ever load and which is why in FY21 they carried 123 billion tons of load. This year, railway is targeting 14 billion tons of 1.4 billion tons of load. The remittances, money remitted by Indians working abroad, has touched $83 billion in calendar year 2020. However, because of the second wave, PMI dropped to 10-month low in May for manufacturing as well as services, and RBI had to revise its GDP forecast from double-digit plus to double-digit minus, from 10.5% to 9.5%. On the COVID trajectory, after the horror of April and May, active cases have started declining rapidly, and slowly parts of country have started opening. During the Jan, Feb, March, people had become fairly mobile and probably not following COVID appropriate behavior. However, in April, May, June, clearly there was restriction on movement as reflected in retail and recreation movement down 64%, parks movement down 43%, travel movements down 53%. This behavior ensured that active cases started coming down. This is broad indicator of economic activity in the month of March and April. Undoubtedly, momentum broke of Jan, Feb, March because of the second wave and lockdown imposed. We just have to hope and pray that going forward, the activity starts normalizing and cases continue to reduce. The Nomura Business Resumption Index, which was 98.1 in the month of March, declined to 60 in the first half of May and has recovered a little bit to 64 towards end of May. Let's hope and pray that from here, Nomura Business Resumption Index starts normalizing and goes back like it went up during April 2020 to March 2021. Because of second wave and lockdown, there was sharp drop in GST bill generation. Fortunately, GST collection for the month of April came out reasonable at more than 1 lakh crore. Our real worry is related to inflation, where unemployment rate across rural India and urban India on a 30-day moving average has moved back to double digit. The real challenge for us is the loss of income, especially in the middle income group and lower income group. The rich has not been impacted as much as the bottom of the pyramid, lower income guys and middle income guys. Now, the good news is that slowly and steadily India is opening up as cases across countries have started coming down. Death rate has started coming down. But please remember, this is a long journey. Even today, number of active cases, number of deaths per day are much higher than what we saw in September 20 peak. Now, one challenge which we are seeing is that compared to first wave, this time rural India witnessed widespread of disease. And which is where if you see in rural India, deposit growth rate has come down, but the borrowing from the banks have gone up. This is exactly opposite of what happened in urban India as well as metropolitan India. where deposit growth rate has been strong, but borrowing has been slower. Does this represent that rural India is under stress because of widespread disease? The second thing is related to subdued consumer demand. If we go by official data in EPFO and NPS, in FY21, almost 1 crore jobs were created, more or less comparable to FY20. Now that created pent-up demand, and once lockdown was over, people came and spent money. Now, what will happen in FY22? Will we go and create 1 crore plus jobs? If yes, consumption will be supported. But if we don't create that kind of job, then consumption will be subdued. The other thing is related to MSME sector. They have been hit hard in many areas like tourism, travel, hospitality, anything which required physical connect like retailing. And if MSME sector does not recover, can India sustain its growth, as MSME represents 30% of India's GDP? Today, market is praying that with vaccination, India will be able to normalize economic activity just like US, UK, and Israel. Some highlights about vaccination. We vaccinate half of New Zealand every day. The total number of people who are vaccinated or who are tested are equal to population of USA. And the number of people treated and cured is equivalent to population of Australia. Because of our large size, we are like an oil tanker which takes little time to move. But in terms of vaccination, now people are expecting further ramp up from these numbers. There is belief that with new vaccines coming from Dr. Reddy's Sputnik, Zydus Cadilla's Zycovid, and biological advance, there will be more vaccines available, and we should look at normalization of economic activity by somewhere around September quarter. The market is also praying that the third wave will be much less severe compared to the second wave. This happened during 1918-19 Spanish flu. Let's hope and pray that the same thing happens with COVID-19. Coming to equity markets, the small and mid cap continue to do well. Over 1 year, small caps have delivered almost double the return of large cap and 1.5 times return of mid cap. Year to date, also led by metals, small and mid caps have done far better compared to large caps. I hope you will remember our call where bulk of the last year we were overweight small and mid cap along with equity, and for rest of the year we were marginally overweight small and mid cap compared to large cap. The FPIs continue to be bullish on India. In last 12 months, while they have withdrawn money from emerging markets like Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, South Africa, South Korea, they have kept on putting money into India and also a commodity country like Brazil. The fourth quarter FY21 results are broadly in line with the market expectations. The number of companies which delivered in line or little bit ahead of expectations are about 31 companies. The same trend is witnessed in mid-cap names as well as in Nifty Next 50 names. The real challenge, the real advantage for market is this sharp rise in corporate profitability. All the companies are showing a reasonable uptick in profitability, which is one reason why markets are getting supported. One question which comes to people's mind is the crude prices are rising, and what will be the impact of crude? Well, if we see globally and with Nifty, many a times Nifty has moved in an opposite direction despite crude prices going up. It's not necessarily that crude prices always deliver, jolt to the index, to the Nifty. Many a times crude and Nifty have moved in similar direction. One big rally in the market in recent time is through metal. And if you look at excess return of metal index over Sensex, we are almost reaching just one second. We are almost reaching a place where the returns are near lifetime high from an excess return point of view. This shows that probably metal index has run its course, and over next 6-12 months, it may not outperform the market. If you look at earning per share of Sensex in FY20, it is coming at about 1500 rupee. The growth from FY14 to FY20 was very low, but hopefully from here onwards, it will pick up the pace. Valuation wise, our call is neutral weight equity, and probably if market runs up further from here, we will reevaluate this call. Our current market cap to GDP ratio at 104% is much higher than average of 76% for the last 15 years. But compared to global market cap to GDP ratio of 131%, this looks reasonable. On a price to earning basis against historical 18, we are at 20, and on a price to book against historical 2.6, we are at 3. This is roughly a premium of 15% on price to book and maybe about 20% on a price to earning. But because globally market caps are higher, we believe this can sustain. The real reason why markets are moving up is this sharp improvement in corporate profitability. From 32,000 crore in June 20, corporate profitability for December has jumped to 2,10,000 crore. An annualized basis, that's roughly 25 times on current market cap. This number in December is likely to go up to probably 2,30,000 crore by for March 21 results. If that happens, this P ratio can come down to 20. And hence, we believe market has limited downside. Our call continues to remain marginal underweight large cap, marginal overweight small and mid cap, and neutral weight equity at this valuation. Coming to systematic investment plan, most of the SIPs are now in double digit compared to March 20, when for up to 5 years they were delivering negative return. The same thing happened in a mid-cap space. For 5 years, they were delivering negative return in March 20, and today they are all delivering double-digit return. This also happened in large and mid-cap space. 5 years negative return. Today, everyone delivering double-digit return. At this point of time, we would like you to consider some of the equity funds. Offshore investment is picking pace. You have seen performance of Kotak Pioneer Fund, but within our portfolio, we also have Kotak Global Emerging Fund, Kotak Nasdaq 100 Fund of Fund, and Kotak International REIT Fund of Fund. We have also received approval to launch Kotak Global Innovation Fund of Fund from SEBI, and very soon you will hear from us about launch of this fund. This is the performance of Kotak Pioneer. The alpha you can see is almost 11%. This is our large cap fund, Kotak Blue Chip. And again here, across various time period, it has outperformed benchmark index. The Kotak Asset Allocator Fund is truly fill it, shut it, forget it fund. Here, fund manager divides allocation between debt and equity based on his view over a medium term on the market. And this fund has delivered almost double-digit return compounded over last 1, 3, 5 and since inception. Should one invest in gold? These are some of the headlines and research reports which we have picked up, which gives us confidence to be bullish gold. Many institutional investors are moving from crypto to gold. Many sovereign funds are moving from dollar assets to gold. And this thing will support gold prices in the days to come. Do remember that gold carries 10% import duty. And in case import duty comes down, gold prices will correct in rupee terms in one single day. There are some interesting facts about crypto which your clients should know. One, Bitcoin consumes already 1% of global electricity. In the world where global warming is an issue, environmental effect of crypto will be considered while pricing such assets. Second, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange is under investigation in US, and hence one will have to be very, very careful in terms of which exchange you pick for trading of your cryptos. In Turkey, one realized that $2 billion of crypto was lost when exchange disappeared. More importantly, in Bitcoin, traders are using extremely high leverage, which is resulting into extremely high volatility. The next question comes on the active versus passive funds in alpha generation. Do remember that because we compare our performance to total return index, actually index fund itself continue to underperform benchmark indices. If we look at most of our funds, they have generated alpha over 1, 3, 5, and 7 years. And in couple of funds like emerging equity, like Kotak Equity Opportunities, like Kotak Tech Saver, in 1 year alpha or outperformance over benchmark indices is negative, but that is primarily because we have not invested in one particular group shares for fear of overvaluation. If you adjust for sharp run-up in that stock in which no Indian mutual fund is invested, then all these numbers will turn into positive. There are very few fund houses who are able to consistently outperform benchmark indices, and it's indeed a matter of pride for me that my equity team has been able to generate outperformance over benchmark index across most of the funds, across most of the periods. We are also launching Kotak Nifty 50 Index Fund. The fund is launched on 31st of May and it will close on 14th of June for NFO. With Kotak Nifty Index Fund, we will expand basket of our passive funds. We have Sensex ETF, we have PSU Bank ETF, IT ETF, NV20 ETF, and we are completing that with Nifty ETF. We also have Nifty Next 50 Index Funds and Nifty 50 Index Fund over and above Nifty ETF. And we are also having Kotak Banking ETF. We will continue to launch more index funds and more ETFs to complete offering in passive funds. Coming to debt market, the banking liquidity has remained in surplus at 5,50,000 crore. The consumer price inflation has remained well within the RBI's comfort zone. However, the wholesale price inflation, courtesy the oil prices and commodity prices, have moved up from being negative in April, June 20 to double digit in February, March 21. The drivers for inflation is likely to be more driven by commodities rather than food or fuel or gold. The overall yield curve continues to remain steep at the short end and flat at the long end. Overall, we believe interest rates will be managed by RBI. They have done an outstanding job in managing interest rates, and we do expect rates to rise in a calibrated manner as may be permitted by RBI. Today, the 10-year GSEC minus 3-month T-bill continues to remain steep at about 250 basis points spread against historical spread of about 130. The SDL spreads continue to remain high at 75 basis point because of the supply. However, this could come down as RBI increases OMO in SDLs. If you look at corporate spreads, they have by and large started coming down from April levels once the credit crisis was behind us. On the debt side, we believe either you trust money with fund managers so that they can manage duration to deliver performance in dynamic bond fund, or you go at the short end of the curve in PSU bond fund, corporate bond fund, short-term bond fund to protect yourself against rising interest rates, or you go into credit risk funds to earn higher carry, albeit at a higher credit risk. From the investment side, in the fixed income market, as I mentioned, dynamic bond fund has been delivering outperformance over benchmark index through deft management of interest rate. If you have 3-year plus view, this is one fund where you could invest, trusting the fund manager to do the duration management. The other option, as I mentioned earlier, is to remain at the short end of the curve or in credit risk fund. All these three fund, Kotak low duration, Kotak credit risk, or Kotak medium term, gives you carry over AAA rated assets. In terms of bond fund, the portfolio quality is 100% AAA or equivalent with gilt cash and AAA rated papers. Yield wise, there is still an incremental carry. And most importantly, if you look at performance over 3 years, it's into higher single digit. We believe people who are conscious of top-notch credit can look at Kotak bond fund. Apart from bond fund, on the dynamic side, credit risk side, or at the short end, one other way to earn regular income or higher income will be to move into hybrid funds. Kotak Debt Hybrid Scheme is one of the most popular fund. It collected 209 crore out of total flow in the industry of 443 crore, almost 45% plus. The performance is almost higher single digit to double digit over last 1, 2, 3, 5 years. The equity exposure remains at around between 15 to 25%. And this fund could deliver better return than pure fixed income funds. Kotak Equity Savings Scheme is another scheme which combines investment in fixed income, equity, and arbitrage fund to get equity taxation status. This fund also has delivered reasonably good return compared to fixed income funds. Finally, balance fund, which is managed by my colleague Pankaj. Again, if you look at the performance of balance fund over the years, it's generally into double-digit numbers.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.